Hi there, my name's Brian Wilkinson and I'm speaking to you today from the UK, and my job is to talk around Unit 4, which covers the 4 drivers of network development. And I'm going to do the introduction to all 4 and then specifically look at driver number 1 around connecting. So why are we looking at this subject? Well, it's to look at the way in which we choose the different activities and programs that we run in our network. There's a natural tendency to do the things that we either like or we want to do or think we can easily implement. But we want to give you a framework in order to seriously consider what are the best things that we need to do in order that we get the best growth in the network. Now, these 4 drivers have come about not just through Viva's kind of own ideas or theory, but they are from the feedback that we've received over many years, particularly from those networks that are growing. So we've taken your observations and packaged them back in a framework which we hope will make sense and will help you. So let's look at the 4 drivers. I'm going to actually name them straight off. Number 1 is connecting. And that's about inspiring local churches and organisations to work together and support each other with a shared vision for children. So that's connecting. Number 2, capacity building. Building the capacity of churches and organisations through training, coaching, and peer-to-peer learning to increase sustainability and quality of care for children. That's capacity building. Number 3, collective action. Mobilising churches and organisations to work together to design and implement joint programmes that meet the need of children on a deeper level than any one organisation can achieve alone. That's collective action. Number 4, citywide influence. Addressing negative attitudes and behaviours towards children and engaging with decision makers to result in greater protection and opportunities for vulnerable children across the city. And that's citywide influence. Now, when we first put these together, all these in English start with C, connecting, capacity building, collective action, and citywide influence. And we thought we'd call them the 4 Cs. But of course, in different languages, they all change, and so that doesn't work. And we then called them the 4 building blocks of network development, thinking that if we can put these blocks in place, that would work. And the danger of that became that people began to see them as sequential. You do one before the other. But we quickly realized that that was actually unhelpful. This model actually requires us to do all 4 drivers at the same time. And that's why the new symbolism is of interconnecting cogs, that when you turn one, it affects all the others. And in that way, each of them are influential at building the network, and they're not designed to stand alone. Let me just run that through. If we just connected people, but we didn't do any action, then that whole connecting would have no purpose or point. And so the connecting is in order to result in collective action. In a similar way, if we just built the capacity to people, it would empower their own ministries, but it wouldn't help us do collective action or citywide influence. And so all these 4 are totally interconnected, and all of them are important. And as our network development, as we think about our programs, we really need different programs and different activities in each of these 4 areas or 4 drivers. So our basic question is, have you got at least one activity in each of the drivers? And hopefully in bigger networks, you'll have 2 or 3 in each of the drivers. Let's look at connecting, the first driver. Connecting the network is kind of a very basic, obvious part of what we need to do. But of course, this is vital in terms of the effectiveness of the network. It's really important that the participants are working together, that they the network is reflecting the heart and the passions and the activities of the individual network members, and therefore that will engage the connectivity. And the network coordination team has to be mindful of engaging and extending and expanding the work that the members are already doing on their own. And vice versa, the individual members need to know and understand what the network leadership is planning and what activities are being planned in order that they can take part and get involved. And the analogy is very much of a body with different arms and legs, and they all need to be connected together to work together. And so communication and connectivity is vital. In a spiritual sense, connectivity is also important in terms of releasing some of the great giftings within the church, thinking of pastoral support that we can offer one another, prayer that we can come together around, and the whole hope and expectation that the God of the supernatural will be at work amongst us, not just individually, but as a collective body. A well-connected network is going to be a more effective and efficient network. The problems that children face are too vast for any one or two organisations to be working together. It needs a connected, coordinated, well-functioning body to begin to address these big issues. So let's break this down into the three areas of connecting. First of all, regular communication. Now, many networks have already got Facebooks or newsletters, and I want to encourage you to continue to do that and to do it more regularly. And maybe think about varying the methodologies, varying the media that you use, because we know that only certain people listen to certain areas of media. And therefore, I would suggest that probably not all your network is hearing your messages. And I would also say the electronic messaging is really only secondary. It maintains connectivity, but it doesn't make connectivity. And therefore, nothing will replace face-to-face communication. And I would encourage each network to have a system or a rotation of visiting members, meeting them, talking to them in some form, because that's what builds relationship. Emails and communications and newsletters are really a poor second to face-to-face communication. That leads us on to the second highlight for connectivity, and that's fellowship and community. It's really important that different members meet each other on regular occasions. They hear each other's heart. They understand what other projects and project leaders are doing, and that encourages us when we meet other people and are inspired by each other. So we may have an annual AGM. I would say that's not enough. We need fairly regular times where people can come together in different groups and meet one another to catch a part of a vision and a passion, maybe for God or maybe for the work, that will encourage them and help connect them even stronger. I would say these meetings have to be good though. Many meetings can be dull and you don't really want to go again. And I've got quite a low level in terms of what I find exciting and inspiring. So please include some sort of pastoral support where people feel that they are cared for, that they are important, that they have practical aspects in which they can leave having received and having met someone that has lifted them. Prayer is vital for our meetings, that we feel envisioned and inspired to believe in a miracle working God. And mutual learning, that we're hearing about new resources and best practices that we can take on board, and that we're being encouraged and inspired that collective action is a vital part, that it's great what we're doing on our own, but how much more could be achieved if we actually worked on the same page. Thirdly, coordination. And this is crucial. we're trying to work at a collective level. We're trying to do things that hasn't necessarily been done before and can't be achieved individually. And therefore, we must be finding and exploring ways in which we can work together better. This is where working groups are really critical. Very often there are working groups formed around particular projects to help organise and run that project better, and that's great. We've also encouraged over the years working groups based on thematic areas of interest, because each of our network members have got particular focuses. It could be on health, it could be on education. Let's group those people together so that they can help inform each other in their specific area of interest. Let's help them develop that expertise, but also explore what we can do together in that particular theme. Those are usually the beginnings of new areas of collective action. Getting that groundswell of thinking and encouragement and excitement is really important. So those are the three areas that we would recommend for better connectivity. That is, number 1, regular communication. Number 2, regular fellowship and community. And number 3, good coordination. So how can we check those things? What is it as a network team that we can be looking at? Well, number 1, we need to be recording the number of churches and organisations that are receiving those communications or that we're visiting, attending the events, and recording them in some sort of database. We need to see that how many people we are reaching, how many people are taking hold of some of our messaging, coming to some of our connecting activities, to ensure that we are reaching. If we've got 150 members, how many are we actually reaching? It could be as low as 30. We want to make sure that number is going well over the 90% of all the members that we think we have in our network. Good network connectivity will encourage the expansion of the number of organisations and churches in the network who are engaged together. Clearly, good news spreads. When people feel connected, they feel part of a network, they tell other people, and those people want to be part of it. And so therefore, tracking the number of people that are coming into the network is a sure sign of growth. If you're losing people, then our activity is not working. We are not interesting people. We're not exciting people. Converse, which is what we want in network growth, if we're doing the right things, we will see growth and expansion in the number of members and number of people inquiring about the network. So, just to conclude, let's reflect and let's just ask 3 simple checklist questions. How is your regular communication? Can you do it better? Can you use different media? And most importantly, can you supplement it with a series of face-to-face visits? Second question, do you have regular opportunities for members to connect with each other? And when you do organise those events, are they inspiring, exciting, and do people want to have more of them, and do they want to come again? That was number 2. Number 3, are the number of organisations receiving your communications and attending your events increasing? And are you tracking those things on your database? I hope that's helpful. Quick run through. God bless you. Cheers.